So, Father, we ask for directions, and we ask that they would be obedient and willing to your perfect will. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please rise for the pledge.
Hello?
I need a motion on the work session minutes for August the 4th.
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Need a motion on the regular meeting for August the 4th.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Mr. Mayor, you're up.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start by talking about something that has impacted everything that we've been doing here for the last few months, and that is COVID-19, the pandemic that we are all still dealing with. I want to just highlight a few statistics for you, and I won't go into them in much detail, but I want to thank our EMA Director, Christina Thornton, for the work that she's done, as well as that of our staff and everyone who's been involved, all of our community members and leaders who have still been helping out our nonprofit community, our faith-based community, so many people who are helping and assisting in this area. As you can see right now, our numbers are a little bit better than they were a few months ago. We make up about 6.8% of all Alabama cases. That's down from, I think, a high of about 9% just a little while ago. Unfortunately, we are still seeing far too many deaths, as we have 153 deaths, and we've had 7-day average cases of about 57.2. And when you look at these numbers, you may say, well, what does it mean? It means that we're doing a little bit better, but we still have more progress that can be made. I think it's no question that the mask mandate has helped. I think all of the consistent messaging on this has been helpful, coming from our medical professionals, coming from the health experts, as well as state and local leaders, the business community, so many people helping out in this era. It's been kind of highlighted that we haven't arrested or fined a number of people, and it's important for us to understand that that was really never the true intent. The intent was to make people aware of what needed to be done, and only in the case of last resort would we have to do that. And so I'm pleased that our police department has done a very effective job of supporting business owners and supporting many community leaders in this health effort. And it is just that. It is a health effort. Next slide, please. This is going to probably give you a better sense of where our numbers are and where we've been headed. We're seeing some positive trends there over the last couple of weeks, and we're at one of our lowest points that we've been in quite some time. We do know that with colleges coming back on campus here in the city, as well as with the restart of certain extracurricular activities as school starts virtually, that we're going to have to brace ourselves and just kind of remind one another that it is still important that people continue to wear their masks and practice social distancing as much as we can. But this is certainly a trend line that we'd like to see move forward. And so I want to commend this community for really working together and really adapting to where we are right now in terms of our mass usage. Next slide, please. This just shows very briefly that our current growth rate has gone down from about 5.5%, which is where it was in the middle of June, now to a very minuscule amount. And again, we know this can change at any point, so we're not celebrating, we're not going to spike the football, so to speak. But it is good to see the case growth rate flatten out to a very small number, and hopefully we can get this to a point where we can ride it out through the rest of the fall. My hope is that we can get through the start of school and the start of colleges without seeing a tremendous surge, and maybe that will show that we're building some resilience in this community. Next slide, please. This again just reiterates just a different bar, different graph of where the trend line is going, and that is it's going in the right direction. So that's going to conclude my update regarding COVID-19. I just want to encourage everyone to stay consistent in your messaging from your platforms that you have, and your colleagues, your peers, your neighbors, your friends, your church members, and just encourage them that we are making some progress. We have eased things somewhat in our healthcare system, and if we continue to do this, I think that we'll be in a better place as a community than we otherwise would be. So just thank you for all the cooperation. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in spreading the word. Now I'm going to turn to the big item of the day, and I would say that's the 2021 budget message. And Mr. President and members of the City Council, I want to say to you and to the citizens, this is my first budget, and it has been one that has been a tremendous learning experience. I come before you today to present a balanced budget for your consideration and ultimately your adoption. Montgomery has witnessed an unprecedented time in its history. The current budget year began on October the 1st, 2019, at a time when total revenue had a steady growth rate of 5%. The current year's budget was based on projections of a minimum growth rate of 2.5%. Obviously, no one had any idea that we would be dealing with a once-in-a-century pandemic, nor would anyone understand the true impact that it would have. The city of Montgomery began to feel the unprecedented impact of the COVID-19 coronavirus on this community in March of this year. This global pandemic continues to affect all of us, not just financially, but more importantly, it's caused the loss of life and livelihood for many in Montgomery. I was just informed by a friend that they lost a member of their family just last night. It's the second member of their family that they've lost to this virus. As the city is still navigating through uncharted waters, we continue to do all that we can to save as many lives as possible. Like most communities throughout the nation, Montgomery continues to witness an economic slowdown during this current fiscal year. We have been able to weather the storm by cutting departmental budgets 10% as of June 1st through the remainder of the fiscal year. I believe that move alone saved us from having to go into our reserves and saved us from having to make any further financial decisions that would have a more heavy impact on our budget and on our financial status as a community. Additionally, filling vacancies were kept to a minimum to only those positions that were considered critical in order for departments to operate efficiently. In a fancy way, that just says that all hirings had to be approved, and our cabinet officials did a great job of not bringing before us any that weren't just necessary. Now that we're in the 11th month of the fiscal year, these measures, along with that of citizens putting stimulus funds and increased unemployment compensation payments back into the economy, have lessened the decline of the city's largest revenue stream. This is from the sales and use taxes, which constitutes approximately 45% of the current year's budget. The overall increase in this revenue stream over the previous year is still around 3% for the year. Although the increase in sales and use taxes has lessened the revenue shortfall for the fiscal year 2020, there are various revenue streams that have not done as well. For instance, lodging tax has an overall negative growth rate of approximately 20% year over year. Also, gasoline tax has a negative growth rate that is little more than 3% compared to last year. Although the city will have a shortfall in revenue, it is projected that it will not be nearly as profound as we originally anticipated. The current projection for the shortfall in revenue could be as low as $6 million, or a little more than 2% of the current year's budget, as long as sales and use taxes remain level for the rest of the fiscal year. That's very important. Many of you, as members of the City Council, attended the budget meetings and saw how we reduced expenses in order to deal with the reality of the revenue shortfall that is projected in the fiscal year 2021. I want to thank you for your feedback that helped with the composition of this budget. As a result, all city departments presented reduced budgets, resulting in an overall 7.6% savings to offset the anticipated revenue shortfall. That's nothing to sneeze at. We understand that there are municipalities all across the state and across this country that are dealing with much more dire circumstances. And so I'm presenting to you today a balanced general fund budget that is more than $17 million, or 6.7% less than the current year's budget. The city was unable to provide merit increases to a well-deserving workforce in this budget. However, we didn't furlough, nor did we lay off any employees. That again is very important, as many cities around this nation are having to do that, from sanitation to public safety to public works. We did not have to do that here. So although there was no funding included for employee merit raises, employees will not be burdened with increased health insurance costs in the fiscal year 2021. Again, not to be lost on the overall environment that we're in economically. Also, the funding for vacancies was not affordable in the budget, so I'm not presenting any of those today. When employees resign or retire from the city's workforce, those positions will not be filled unless they are critical in providing services to the citizens of Montgomery. Through attrition, the city will have a savings of $6.9 million, or nearly 3% that will be used to offset the revenue shortfall. Additionally, a resolution is on the agenda today for council approval for the city to offer Tier 1 retirement benefits to its Tier 2 employees. We believe this is a very important step because this will provide better retirement benefits for current and future employees, while at the same time giving the city a tool for recruiting and retaining quality workers for years to come, especially in public safety. Montgomery has a long history of supporting many outside agencies. These organizations provide valuable services to our citizens and to our community. Some of these agencies will be affected by the reality of the economic times in which we are navigating and will have reduced appropriations in this year's budget. Now, I want to spend a few minutes acknowledging the hard work that allowed us to get to this point. Our municipal cabinet officials and their staff members spent a lot of time preparing a zero-based budget and evaluating their operations to prepare their budgets for the fiscal year 2021. We challenged them to start at zero and to really utilize every metric they could to create a sound budget for this next year, understanding the challenges that were before us as a city and as a municipality. They did just that. They will continue to provide crucial services to the citizens, visitors, and businesses of Montgomery with less resources. And we understand that because we have less resources, doesn't mean that our expectations or those of our residents will change. We just have to do more with less. And we're committed to doing that. We also have a group of employees who did the yeoman's work in preparing this budget. Betty Beeville and her staff in the finance department have worked tirelessly, worked many long hours projecting revenues, forecasting expenses, and screening proposed expenditures for the fiscal year 2021 budget. And I also want to say a special thanks to our current budget officer, Ms. Mary Thacker, for her dedication and professionalism over the last 28 years working for the city. Mary is retiring on August 31st after 21 of those years working in the budget office. We thank Mary and we wish her only the best as she begins another phase of her life's journey. Although the COVID-19 pandemic has adversely impacted the revenue of the city, this administration has a vision for all of our residents here in Montgomery. Many of the things that we plan to do to bring about greater opportunity in the city will have to be placed on hold, but not everything, because we believe that we have to have a vision and we have to make sure that we stay closely tied to that vision. And we understand that the scripture says where there is no vision, the people will fail. And as mayor of Montgomery, I do not see failure as an option. And so while some of these things may be delayed, they will not be denied just because of the financial constraints that the city finds itself in. We'll make adjustments and we'll be innovative in our approach going forward because we believe that first-class residents deserve a first-class city. So in conclusion, the proposed budget being presented to you today has a dollar value of $242,600,312. That is being proposed for your approval. Although city spending is being reduced by more than $17 million, or a little bit more than 6.5%, I'm confident this proposed budget will allow the city to move forward on our path to building a better Montgomery where more opportunities abound for everyone. I encourage you to look over the budget over these next few days and weeks, and certainly as you have any questions, don't hesitate to let us know how we can address those going forward. Finally, I want to speak very briefly to an issue that's not been lost upon me as has been highlighted here recently. And that is some of the bad news that we've been seeing in our community around violence that has been taking place, violence that has been impacting lives of people in this community of all ages, of all backgrounds. We can't get to a point where we become numb to what's taking place in this city. Yesterday, a 13-year-old girl was killed in Oak Park. Oak Park's not far from here, it's not far from where I live. Second shooting in a matter of days. 13 years old. Yesterday was the birthday of my godson, who I called to wish him a happy 13th birthday. 13 years old is also the age of my oldest son. So I understand what we lost with a 13-year-old losing her life and losing more than innocence for those that were involved in that. We have to make sure that as we advocate for police reform and as we advocate for changes that we want to see happen in our public safety department and how we police this city, that we try to reform the culture, that we try to reform the hearts and minds of men and women in this community. There's no amount of ordinances, there's no amount of virtual town halls that we can have to address some of the things that are taking place. We're going to reinvest in this community. We've already started by opening up some of our community centers. We're committed to doing that. We're committed to working with the nonprofit community and many other organizations to try to bring about more anti-violence measures. We understand that gun violence is a health pandemic. We understand that we have to teach more conflict resolution. We understand that we have to try to address access to guns. And we understand that we have to address some of the shortcomings that we have in our mental illness system. We also have to address some of the issues surrounding our court system and how crimes are adjudicated. But we have to make sure that as a community, we don't allow the negativity of some to multiply throughout this entire city. And we have to make sure that we hold one another accountable for the words and for the actions that we take. We're going to do everything that we can from this administration to be innovative in our approach to create that balance between the trust and the transparency of our police department and our community. But we're going to need the community to step up. We're going to need the community to step up and make sure that we aren't brandishing handguns and we aren't using violence as a form of resolving disputes to the degree that we are shooting, maiming, and killing young girls, young boys, and older men and older women. We have to find a better way to do that. And we have to make sure that we are challenging one another to do better about that, because this community is going to rise and fall based on the actions of all of us. And we can't allow a few to spoil the potential that we have here. And we can't allow the current environment that exists to continue the way it has been. There's no excuse for it. There's no rationale for it. And there's no way that we can promote this city, that we can promote the positive things that we want to see under these current circumstances. And so I want to ask everyone to assist in this endeavor, because this isn't just about the mayor, it's not just about the police chief, it's not just about the district attorney, it's not just about the city council or anyone else. This is about how we view one another as human beings and how we view people and our brothers and our sisters in mankind. And do we believe that we have to resolve disputes and settle arguments, if you will, with violence that not only changes the life of one person, but changes the lives of multiple people? So I hope that as we think about a new beginning for this city, we don't just think about it from the sense of a budget, because a budget is just numbers. Budget is just money, it's currency. It's how we spend these resources. The main thing that's going to decide how this city and this community, because it's not just the city of Montgomery, this entire region, central Alabama, grows or progresses, and what type of opportunities we get is going to be how we deal with one another and how we deal with our youth and how we deal with those who are on the margins. And are we willing and are we ready and are we committed to being a better citizen toward one another? Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Doesn't mean that you can't get disappointed. It's how we deal with those disappointments. It's how we deal with those frustrations. It's how we deal with the disputes that we may have. Because if we don't change our actions, then we're not going to be able to keep a nightclub open. We're not going to be able to have any entertainment and concerts. We're not going to be able to do some of the things that we ought to be able to do for various parts of this city and this community. We can't bring investment to areas that have a lot of shootings. We can't incentivize any retailer to open up in a part of town that has a high rate of violence or a high crime rate. And we're going to do our part to offer hope and to offer opportunities, and we're going to do our part to continue to seek innovative ways to bring about more resources to those people who don't feel like they have any other options. But we also need the help and the assistance of everyone that lives in this city to commit to doing things in a different way that doesn't put them in contact with our police department, our EMT, or our fire and rescue. We have to do our part to make sure that we are making this city everything that it can be. That 13-year-old girl shouldn't be dead because she was going to a dance practice in a park. But the teenager that killed her isn't the sole person responsible. A lot of it has to do with the culture in this city. And that's a culture that all of us have a role to play, and all of us can have some impact in improving. Mr. President, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
The Guardian Bowl, Mr. Mayor, I understand there's been a lot of advertising about that. I just talking to Kay, and she said that it's 98% on go.
As far as we can tell,
28th of the month, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
29th? 29th.
29th of 7 p.m., Cranston Bowl.
That's it.
3,500 total number of people there? Okay.
Yeah.
So we got it on the street. Everybody knows about it now, maybe.
You got it.
Thank you for your presentation. The budget will be put on the agenda for the September the 1st meeting. There will be a public hearing that day. And after that, we will have a council work session that will look over the budget. And then on the 15th, we hope to pass that budget or have that budget amended or whatever. So that'll be the process for the budget. Any questions of the mayor at this time? Okay.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Bollinger.
And I don't know if this is the appropriate time, Mayor, but you said last 2 weeks ago that you were going to bring us some kind of policy or something to look at on this police review committee. I don't know where that stands right now. That's something that I'm just kind of throwing out there, asking you where are we on that?
Sure. We are thank you. We're going to present that to you at the next meeting. What we want to do is not conflate the budget with the police reform measures. It's very important that you all get a chance to get that independently of the budget, and I didn't want to combine both of those. So we're working on some of the final details. We could have given it to you today. I just made the decision to hold off and present that at the next meeting, where we could really focus on the police reform as well as the Citizens Review Board and some of the other measures that we are be presenting to you for your approval.
Good. And one of the things, kind of piggybacking off of what you said, when we're looking at having a police review committee, I'd like to see us go out there and have an established committee looking at all the crime that we're having and trying to seek other ways in the public to solve some of that. Like, I know it's not just up to you, it's not up to the council, like you said, but I think we're going to have more input outside of us from the general public to see what we can do. You look at the reports that I see, it's anywhere from a 15-year-old to a 25-year-old are having all the guns. And I think we need to have some kind of way to look at that and see what we can do to solve some of those problems.
I agree. Thank you.
One question for the mayor.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, how are we looking for doing soft openings on our other community centers? I know I have been getting plenty of calls that, students need help for us being able to log on. If we had some of those soft openings, how many centers do we have open at this time?
Not sure how many we have open.
We have 2 open now, we're going to 5 Monday, 8 a.m. We open for school.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got a question? Looks like none. Okay. Chief Jordan has a presentation. Chief Jordan.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Gaucher with the Montgomery Fire Department. We'd like to do an MDA presentation right now from the Muscular Dystrophy Association for our 2019 contributions to that organization. I'd like to ask Ms. Catherine Shivers to come up from MDA for the presentation.
Thank you. On behalf of MDA and the families we serve, we want to acknowledge and thank the Montgomery Fire and Rescue for their contributions to Fill the Boot campaign. Funds raised for Fill the Boot are used to provide vital services to over 1,300 families in Alabama. Over the past 20 years, Montgomery Fire and Rescue, along with the citizens of Montgomery, have raised $1.5 million to help fuel our mission. Last year alone, this department raised over $80,000, making them yet again the highest fundraising department in Alabama. It is my great honor to present to them their 17th Golden Axe.
Very good. I'd like to picture that. Let's stand together. Stand up where we're at.
Go back, Tom. Go back, Tom. Go back,
Keep our
Tom.
distance
All the way,
from
all
the
the way,
end.
all the way back. All the way back. Marion. Let me get it.
Congratulations. Good job, all of you. Okay, Madam Clerk, I'm going to move from the plate here. I'd like to move item number 12 to the front. Call on it, please.
Ordinance authorizing an amendment to the funding agreement with the Montgomery County Community Cooperative District.
Council need a motion on this. To
Move to suspend the rules.
have a motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted.
All right, good deal. All right, item number 1.
Ordinance repealing Ordinance 30-2004, Planning Commission review of site development plan.
Mr. Bollinger?
I think we probably have explained this a pretty good bit. I'd like to go ahead and offer the motion to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
6, 7,
All opposed, same sign.
1.
Okay, motion carries. Next item.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
just real quick, can we look at this in a couple of months? And I talked to Richard today about it. Can we look,
You voted on it. You can always bring it back up.
Hey,
no,
Glenn.
1, because I missed the vote, but I wanted to ask real quick.
Hey, Glenn, I'll go over real quick with you what we said at the work
No,
session.
I'm fine with it, but I just want to review it.
If that'll help. And
Okay.
one of the things we said so that we could keep this thing public and all, that they have committed to continue to put the signs out saying that we have something coming, which is the typical thing they do now. They answer the phone. They usually say, okay, this is the particular type of project that's coming. They'll also say, this is the site now that you can actually go review one of the PDFs so you can see the building or whatever else is going to happen on the particular project. They'll have a comment section on there as well that will allow the general public to leave comments so that they can pass that on to the developer.
And listen, that's everything you told me today, but again, I want to make sure, and I would have voted if I was sitting up here, but I just want to make sure that we are not leaving the public out of it, and that's it. Huh?
Yeah, they left out.
Okay. All right, you can bring it back. We can watch it. Bring it back up, see how it works.
Okay.
Okay.
Y'all got me confused.
Item number 2.
They left out Glenn.
Item 2, application for an alternative transportation service doing business as Heart to Heart Transportation.
Representative of Heart to Heart Transportation here, please.
Mrs. McDaniel is supposed to
she's
be
on the
on the phone. Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Any questions of Ms. McDaniel? What kind of business is this, please?
It's a non-emergency medical transport where I transport clients to the doctor. to dental appointments, like physical therapy and things of the such.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, you got any questions? Need a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand. Yeah.
I need a vote, council. Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Item 3, application for a lounge retail liquor Class 2 package license doing business as AirTech at 3566 Day Street.
This item will be carried over, Ms. Graham. You want to carry this over 2 weeks? Okay. This will be carried over 2 weeks.
Item 4, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only doing business as Circle K, 3565 Lower Wetumpka Road.
I assume you're Hope Hicks.
I am.
Okay. All right, Ms. Hicks, item number 4. Council, got any questions, Ms. Hicks? And this has already had a public hearing, so all we need to do is go ahead. This is in Wetumpka Road. I think everybody okay with that? Need a motion to adopt? Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Okay, number 5.
Application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only doing business as Circle K at 4501 Troy Highway.
Need a motion?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Very good, thank you. Good luck with your business.
Item 6, resolution setting a public hearing for September the 15th, 2020 at 5:00 p.m. regarding the proposed adoption of an ordinance amending Section 13.111 and Section 13.112 of the Code of Ordinances and adopting the International Fire Code 2018 along with their referenced publications with exceptions and amendments.
Need a motion to suspend
Motion
the
to suspend the
rules?
rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. And item 7 is the ordinance, and it will be carried over for action on September the 15th
Okay,
following
carried over to-
publication. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Number 8.
Item 8, ordinance amending Code of Ordinances, Section 14-143, permit and reporting requirement for storage of hazardous materials.
Need a motion to adopt, or motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 9, ordinance amending Code of Ordinances, Section 13-8, fireworks.
Need a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 10, ordinance amending Section 6-4, overcrowding of retail business establishments.
We need to use the substitute on this. It has a word change. You've all got a substitute in front of you. On page 3, entertainment event venue and rental hall is different, so I need a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Now I need a motion to adopt, and then a motion to, I need a
You can do an amendment or you can do a substitute,
Let's
each
just do,
whether
yeah,
it's
an
which.
amendment.
just, we'll motion to adopt the amendment.
Yeah.
That
Motion
work?
to adopt the amendment.
Okay, have a motion to adopt the amended point. All in favor, raise your hand.
Wait, we need a motion to adopt the ordinance first, now
Motion to adopt the ordinance.
All right,
Now we need a motion to amend, or to substitute, which would
okay,
you
all
want
in
to
favor,
do?
raise your hand.
Substitute.
We're doing substitute.
You got substitute, then you got the motion, the main motion.
Let's see the can I see the hand of the council, please? Unanimous? Okay.
Okay,
Now we need to adopt the substitute.
Motion to adopt the substitute.
hold on,
All in favor?
Unanimous.
okay.
Item 13, ordinance amending Code of Ordinances, Section 16-101, procedures for revocation of business license or refusing to grant a license.
Motion to suspend the rules, 13.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 15, resolution adopting fiscal year 2021 transportation plan pursuant to the Rebuild Alabama Act.
We do
Move to suspend the
14?
rules. You got a public hearing, right,
We
Charlie?
missed 14? You got 14 done?
We're on 13.
Where we at?
We're on 13.
15?
13.
13, okay.
Move to suspend the rules.
All right, I need a motion to suspend the rules on 13.
Motion to suspend the rules on 13?
Okay?
Unanimous?
Motion to adopt?
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Resolution
Now-
is adopted.
Now number 14.
Resolution providing Tier 2 plan members the same retirement benefits provided to Tier 1 plan members subject to acceptance by ERS Board of Control.
Need a motion to suspend the rules on 14.
Motion to suspend the rules?
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Motion to adopt?
All in favor, raise your hand.
Mr. Chairman?
Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
did we do 12?
Do what?
Did we do item?
Yeah, we did 12.
Was that the first thing we did early?
You happy about that?
Yeah, we did it first, yeah.
That's okay,
Yeah,
I
we
wanted
did
to
it
make
first,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, did 12.
I thought
All right.
that's what we did.
Item
Happiness in
15.
a lot of folks in this room are happy now, that's good. Okay, well, you deserve it, you deserve it.
Tier 1, they deserve it.
Number 15.
Application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Lions Pride, 640 Eastern Boulevard.
This is a public hearing. I need somebody from Lions Pride here. If you have a representative, please come forward. Come forward, please. Give us your name for the record, please.
Sujit Patel.
Oh, Mr. Patel. Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to oppose this item, please come forward or make it known on radio. Hearing none, I declare the public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council. Need a motion?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Have a motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Need a motion to adopt? All in favor, raise your hand. Did I hear adopt?
Unanimous?
Okay,
Resolution is
Good
adopted.
luck with the business, sir.
Item 16, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Abner Grocery Store, 843 South Decatur Street.
Representative Abner's Grocery Store, please come forward. Your name for the record, sir?
Willie Abner.
Willie? This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward or speak up over the phone. Hearing none, I declare the public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council. Need a motion?
Motion to suspend the rules?
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Motion to adopt?
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous? Resolution is
Good luck
adopted.
with your business, sir.
Item 17, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Z-Tech at 1300 Eastern Boulevard.
Representative Z-Tech here, please. You, Mr. Patel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this item, please come forward or speak up on the phone. Hearing none, I declare the public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council. Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous? Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with your business, sir.
Thank you.
Item 18, resolution appointing Sharon Ross to the Board of Trustees, Montgomery City County Public Library.
Move to suspend the rules.
On the rest of the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. 19, resolution reappointing Cassandra E. Brown to the Board of Trustees, Montgomery City County Public Library.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. 20, pursuant to Section 1153B1 Code of Alabama, authorization of demolition of unsafe structures at the listed locations.
Need a motion to uphold?
Move to uphold.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Item 21, resolution assessing the cost of abatement of unsafe structures on various lots.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. 22, resolution declaring, authorizing, and assessing cost of abatement of public nuisances on various lots.
Move to
Motion
adopt.
to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay, anybody got anything else to hand out? Do you want to hand this out? Ms. Graham? Ms. Graham, this ordinance, if you want to submit it? We've all got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's put this on the agenda for maybe after we get the budget done. What do you think? Ms. Graham, what do you think? When do you want to put this on the agenda? Should we get, first week, first? Just put it on the next agenda, we'll talk, okay? All right, good deal. Oh, we're good. We're good. Get it right. Okay, we'll all read it and have it in the next meeting, okay?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Yes.
I
Question?
do want to commend Amy Benefield. We'd asked for a map to be put out so that we could actually study the problem and look at it. And she put out something that not only showed us by district all the different liquor stores we had, whether it be ABC, package stores, or whatever, but she did it where we could actually measure it and look at it on a scale. And I really appreciate the effort because it was a great tool for us to use.
Mr. President, I need to read what it is so the public will be aware.
Sure.
Y'all are aware. It's an ordinance declaring a 3-month moratorium on approval of business licenses for liquor stores and other similar business operations. It's be carried over to the next meeting.
Very good, thank you. Anybody got anything else?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have contingency funds.
Oh, you do? I didn't see anything here.
No, they got to me this morning,
Oh,
so
okay,
they have not
okay.
been
Well,
approved
somebody
for the
was-
mayor yet.
That's very
But
good. Well, tell us what you got.
For District 2, 1,000 to Deerfield Neighborhood Association, 1,000 to Woods Brook Dexter Ridge Neighborhood Association, 3,000 to the Greater Madison Park Neighborhood Association. And Mr. Mayor, these are all vendors. And for District 7, 2,500 to Lanier High School for the band, 2,500 to Jeff Davis High School for cleanup and capital improvements, 2,000 to the Greater McGee Estates Association, 1,000 to King's Canvas. They are not a vendor, but it will be contingent upon them getting us the information that we need to make them a vendor. 1,000 to That's My Child. You okay with those?
What's that?
You okay?
I said, are you okay with these? We have to have your approval before we can present it to them.
I want to talk, I got a question about one of them.
Okay.
I'll discuss that with you.
They're fixing to vote on it.
What's the That's My Child?
They are a vendor now.
We've already used them all?
Yes, sir.
They're all
We've given to
existing
them.
vendors.
We've given to them in the past. I don't have the paperwork with me. They're just on my list of vendors that they've given to in the past.
If you give them to them in the past, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes, sir.
Go with them.
That's fine.
Okay. Need a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay, anybody got anything else? Okay, you got what you...
Mayor.
Nothing else? Meeting is adjourned.